Hey guys and gals, it's Joey. I am bringing this tree in. I've had it for a couple of years. When I brought it home, it was in a nursery pot. Really oversized nursery pot, and it looked like a shrub. I had to do a lot of cutting and bringing the branches in over time to get the look that it has now. It's not done yet, but I put it in this box, and that's pretty much where I left it. I don't remember, it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. Either way, I've had it in this box for a while. The pot that I have chosen is a unglazed pot that I picked up for a very reasonable price at a local nursery. It's a little oversized for this tree, but it will allow room for this tree to grow, and I shouldn't have to repot it for a few years. And for those of you thinking, oh, here he goes, another voiceover. Yep, that's right, I'm doing another voiceover. I really don't like the way that I sound when I just record in video. It sounds distant on this phone, and I don't have any recording gear. So this is kind of what it is. But here's the pot. I think it's a nice looking pot, and ended up actually looking really nice on this tree. I tried recording this in the car at the bus stop while waiting on our oldest to get back from school, and when I listened to it, it was pretty bad. So I deleted it as well. Now what I'm doing here is I'm trying to save all the moss that I can. I will take the moss off when I'm repotting a tree and stick it in a bowl with a little bit of water in it so that I can keep it good and wet. I want to make sure that it doesn't dry out. I'll take sphagnum moss when I'm done and chop it up really fine, and then chop up some of that live moss and mix it together so that the green moss has something to grow on and reproduce and spread, because the moss does not like the soil medium that I use. It just does not stay wet enough. It's not organic enough. Moving on to working towards pulling it out of this box. I'm using this putty knife to try scraping the roots off of the side of the box. Some of the roots like to attach themselves, and if you go to try and just pull it out, it can tear a bunch of the roots, and some of those roots you may not want to remove. So I've been using putty knife on the pots in situations that I can use it on. You really want to be as gentle as possible until you get the tree out of whatever container it may be in, so that you don't set the tree back. The Hinoki Cypress is notoriously slow at new growth. It takes a long time to grow these trees, or at least that's been the experience for me. So that's why the overabundance of caution trying to get this thing out. I'm sure it would have been fine had I just pulled it out, because I didn't wire this tree in. If you're going to use a method like this, just slowly work it all the way around, being sure not to skip any parts of the soil medium, because you want to make sure that you get them all off of the side of the box. In particular, they don't really stick to the side of the pots quite like they do the box. But it's always best to make sure that you get it loose before you start pulling on the tree. The last thing you want to do is damage your tree that you put so much work and time into. Now that I have the tree loose and ready to be pulled out, I'm going to be as gentle as I can trying to pull it from this box. So I'm going to use one hand to hold the box down, and holding onto the trunk with the other hand, I'm going to gently try to wiggle it out without tearing up any roots or tearing up the bark on the trunk, because the bark is part of the aged look that you're going for in growing bonsai. Now right here, I was really pleased to see all of the growth that happened inside this box over the time that it's been in it, but it wasn't the growth that I had hoped for. Nevertheless, it was still good growth. While I was investigating and kind of poking around inside the soil medium, I had noticed that there were a ton of different species of bugs and earthworms and all kinds of really cool things, which to me kind of signified a healthy ecosystem inside that container, which is really cool. Now right here, I'm going to start teasing out the roots. I want to try and comb them in an effort not to break them, because some of the roots will be crisscrossing. Some are going up, some are going down. They're literally going everywhere in there. So the best way you can figure out to comb them out straight, the better it will be for you in the end. Because at this point, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to cut any of the roots or remove anything, because I wasn't sure if it was even going to fit in the pot. And if it didn't, I wanted to have the option of which set of roots needed to be removed to make it fit the way I wanted it to inside that container. Now the soil medium that I was growing this in is just a kind of standard potting mix. It has a lot of smaller bark chunks in it and just organic mass, but I also add a lot of perlite. And in this mix in particular, I added some pumice, some calcined clay, and I think some lava rock. I mean, I had a lot of stuff in there. I was just trying to make it as arid as possible, but still be able to deliver some nutrients. Fun fact here, I have made quite a few videos with me in them now, and I still can't get used to the sound of my voice and seeing me in the picture. I've done photography for a long time, like I said in one of my other videos, and I never once thought about it like this. You know, taking pictures of other people is easy. If you have made it this far in the video and you have any suggestions on how to get past that in my head, I'd love to see what you have to say. So you can leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Anyways, the tool that I'm using right there is actually a screwdriver that me and one of the kids put a blowtorch on, and we heated it up and bent it just to make a hook out of it, just to see if we could do it. I think we were bored, I'm not entirely sure, but I worked on this root ball for quite a while past this point, so I'm gonna cut the rest of that off. But it took me a while to get the root ball where I needed it to be able to put it in the new pot and see what it was gonna look like. Moving forward, here is the tree in the pot. I think it looks nice at this point. I'm starting to get excited because I can kind of see what it looks like now. And it's definitely gonna have room to grow and has a few years before it will outgrow this pot. But in the next year or two, I think it will start to look really nice. Right here. This is just me talking. I'm not even entirely sure what I was getting at when I was talking here. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. I couldn't sleep. Been off work with a knee injury, and I'm not used to laying idle. So I've had quite a few sleepless nights here lately, which is why I decided to do this at that time. At this point, it was time to put a little soil in it and start working the tree into its new home. So what I do at this point, I put a little layer at the bottom, and then on the side that I want the tree to sit, I will mound the soil up. It's a really good practice. It ensures, or it eliminates, the potential of having air pockets underneath your root ball, which is something that you don't want. Before I clicked record and even realized that I was doing it without recording, I had already wired in my screens and fished the wire through the wire holes to secure the tree down. But this is me pushing the tree in a little bit, trying to get it settled and get the wires right so that the tree doesn't shift inside the pot. I think it was about right here I realized that I had cut one of the wires a little too short. I didn't want to waste any wire, and I cut myself short, made things a little hard for me, but I finally got it to twist. I use the pliers when I twist the wire, and I pull up to make sure that I pull whatever slack there may be around the root ball out. So when you're twisting the wires, you want to pull and twist simultaneously. After I got done wiring the backside, checked it out to make sure that I wasn't girdling anything that didn't need to be pinched or held down in the wrong way, and then I moved to the other side and started the wiring up there. Wiring this tree had proved to me to be a challenge, and it was probably the sleep deprivation. I'm not entirely sure. But when you're done wiring the tree in, you get everything set where you want it, how you want it. Then you want to start putting some soil in. You get the soil level up a good bit, most of the way, and then you want to try and work it down. And that's where you get into the infamous chopstick that you see people using. Now, I've heard some people say you're supposed to work the chopstick in and out, all over it. You're supposed to just push it in and wiggle it. I don't necessarily know that one method will work better than the other method. If you hear the dog in the background, that's Lola. She's the best guard dog. She loves her people and hates other dogs, and really doesn't like a lot of other people, period. Anyway, I tend to use both methods with the chopstick. On the outside of the root mass, I will chopstick the soil in, moving it in and out gently so that I don't break the akadama down. But once I start getting closer towards the root mass, I will start wiggling the chopstick. I have noticed that when you push the chopstick into the existing soil mass, it opens up and spreads apart sections of the root that allows your soil medium to slip in between the cracks and fill those voids. Anyways, after working the soil in for what felt like an eternity, I finally finished getting all of the soil in all of the little cracks and crevices that I felt it probably deserved to be. Right here, I'm just explaining what I explained earlier. The live green moss does not like to grow on the soil medium. I use the akadama pumice and lava rock mixture, and moss doesn't really grow well on that mixture. So I take the sphagnum moss, cut it up into fine, just very fine little chunks, and then I'll wet it and cut up the green moss into fine little chunks and tear it all up so that it spreads all over, and I mix it all together. And that's how I dress the top of my pots, not only to keep it good and wet right after the repot, because that's what you need. You don't want it to dry out, but it also looks good when the moss starts to grow back. Some people say don't moss your trees, but I have to work for a living, and when I go back to work, I can't be here to water them as frequently as needed, and the moss helps keep the trees from drying out too much. Anyway, this is what it looks like. Hope y'all enjoy.